Now we will make a new layer. Zoom in, and step number 1, typically I would start to plan exactly what it is that I want to do. So I'm not sure. I could skip that process for you guys so I don't waste your time. But right here, so we will start with the healing brush. Okay, let's just start getting rid of these imperfections. It could be like dirt on the skin and whatnot. Okay. So wherever you see inconsistencies, you want to start attacking those areas. Peach fuzz, everyone has it. So as we clean this up, you see this area over here as well, and then you start to get into the peach fuzz on the cheeks, right underneath that. I mean, that could be hair. I think it is hair, yeah. It is peach fuzz there too. And with something like that, you know what, I'll just take the clone stamp tool and always working with low flow on this stuff, right? So when you're using your clone stamp, you're doing it with a low flow. So the reason I'm going over this area is because it was giving the effect that she had long peach fuzz. So if you, right, it's better to just avoid it. If something looks off, just avoid it. You know, because it will draw attention. So step back a little bit. Let's take a look. On, off, on, and off. It may look like we took away some of that highlight, but remember, we can always go back in with a dodge and burn and bring that back out. So go back. Now let's continue cleaning this skin. Ideally, you don't want to be jumping around the way that I just did. Clean your skin, then go into the peach fuzz, then go to your dodging and burning. Right, so we'll stick to that plan for now, unless something is really bothering me as we continue to work. Get rid of that scar. These cameras are really impressive nowadays. See that makeup application? We will fix that. Get rid of this. I'm not sure what it is. It might be like slight mole or whatever, but because it looks a little bit odd and we can't tell what it is, you get rid of it. That way, imagine if you're confused, what do you think the potential viewer is going to be? These folds in the skin I don't like, so I will just clean it up slightly. These and when you retouch, make sure that your brush is appropriate for the area that you're retouching. So the size of the brush itself. Make that brush a little bit smaller. Nope. There we go. So let's go on and off. Zoom out a little bit. See the kind of work that we've done so far. Right. It's a fair amount of work already. And there's still a decent amount to go. But already you can see the improvements, and you can see that it's getting better. That is with the bottom layer turned off. You see the work that I've put in so far. Right? Okay, so always go back and forth. You want to step away from the image slightly so that you can see exactly where you stand in the grand scheme, right? Because when you start working up close, you sort of lose yourself. You know, that area might look good, but now what's it look like when you move out, when you zoom out, right? So you always want to go back to the full image, because that is how it's going to be viewed in the final export anyway. You know, typically, you know, let's assume that you're putting this out to social media. People are not zooming in on this photo. So you want to make sure that the whole composition looks appropriate and the skin looks proper once you're fully zoomed out, right? So again, you know, nothing wrong with this, these bumps that I was just cleaning. However, what I like to do is at least make the transition of that texture in the area a little bit smoother, right? Because these are sort of, they're very aggressive when you compare it to, let's say, the skin texture here or the skin texture here or here. So even it out so that there's a smooth transition. And always select in the same vicinity when you are healing. Don't get lost in the macro levels. I'm sort of starting to do that a bit right now. So see the scarring and bumps that she has. So if you hear a bird chirping in the background, that is a bird. We have a bird. Let's deal with this peach fuzz now. You know, you may look at an area, let's say, and you might think that this would be too difficult, but ideally what you want to do is you always want to start small. Start small and work your way into that final image, right? So with this, what I want to do is at least maybe start sampling in areas that look like I have potential to grab some detail from. And eventually you'll find that you were able to clean up an area that seemed pretty impossible. Right, so just this quick. And that was very quick, right? Generally, what these pits are telling me is that they're deeper pores, or it is the shadow being cast from a small pimple bump. So you have to train your eye. You have to sort of, you have to understand how light works as it falls across a face. So study light. Study light. Light has a lot to do with contouring as well. You know, you can literally make someone look skinny, or you know, a little bit on the heavy side, just with the way that you light the subject. Right? You know, as they say, the camera adds 10 pounds. And that's typically because the camera flattens a face as opposed to contouring it. So the flatter it looks, you know, the heavier the person looks. Let me just pull this table up a bit. So I have one of those standing desks, and I just pulled it up a bit, so that's the noise that you heard. Starting to get a neck cramp. We can start working on this peach fuzz here. So we can't get every single peach fuzz, but what we can do is get the ones that stand out, right? Because when we get rid of those, the ones in that general area sort of, I don't want to say disappear, but they're not as apparent anyway. So, you know, it won't catch your eye. Start to clean that up. So right here, I'll just clean this up a bit. These wrinkles. I mean, not too much. You know, you don't want to. So I'll probably just keep that area there. You don't want to make anything too perfect, because that's just unnatural, and it's very easy for people to spot it. And I've mentioned this a few times. You don't want to be like a Samsung beauty face filter. You know, if you are a retoucher of any kind, you know, you would know that that is not the effect we're going after. Because if that were the case, we would just get a Samsung and apply the filter to every photo that we take. So this makeup right here is, it's not ideal. So we will start to clean that up. So as you can see, it's catching the light. And first of all, it's making the skin look flaky. So really what we're trying to do is make that transition a little bit softer, right? Because we can't take away the light here. We understand that there is light that is reflecting off the skin. However, let's just soften this transition. So that it doesn't bug us so much. So when we zoom out, we start to see the difference there. Now, who saw this? Let's see. There we go. Always zoom out. So as you can see, I'm finding things in the grander picture that I wasn't seeing when we were zoomed in. Something here is happening, and that is So we're just going in, and if we see anything that we didn't catch the first time, we will catch it now. Pimple bumps. Right? This stuff here is not too bothersome. Doesn't stand out too much. However, if your photo was just this area right here, you definitely have to clean this. So if you were doing a photo that focused specifically on the lips, you would definitely be cleaning the whole image here, right? But we are not focusing just on the lips. We are zoomed out to about here anyway, so that's good. Now let's clean up a little bit over here, and she's got some problems here, you can see. Excuse me. Looks like maybe she had a skin tan or hair or something. I don't know, I can't tell what that is, but looks like some sort of a flaking. Okay. And you might think, well, does this stuff matter in the grand scheme? It all depends on what you are using this image for, right? Is this a beauty retouch? Is this a lifestyle image? It's all something that you have to figure out, depending on the project. And you see this hair right here. So what we could do with that, remember we have a low flow on this. Oh. And we can just continue brushing around the line there. Let's do that again. Just a little bit closer. So what I would do here, the hair is not that big of an issue on this, to be honest. But what I would do is probably draw or cut it off Okay, so let me just draw this out for you so you can see what the plan is. That's in white. Anyway, so this area here I would take out, right? I would fill it in, not with hair, but with the background that we have available. So basically all you get is that, right? I don't like that. Okay. Generally, the skin looks pretty good now, you know? If we're going to have problems, probably just clean that. Not sure. Is that casting a shadow, I think, eh? So what I would do for this, because it almost looks like the eyebrow is going like this, and that's just weird. So what I would do, sample here. Remember, we have a low flow. Let's break that up a little bit. At the very least, to make it look like a shadow is being cast rather than a connected eyebrow. So turn that on and off. You see the difference there, right? Still have some work to do. Let me just get in, deal with that real quick. Okay. Let's take a look at that shoulder right here. So turn that on, turn that off. And you see that hair, how it disappears, which is exactly what we want. It's a little bit too too distracting. So again, let's use the clone brush and just fix the edge here. Remember, we are on low opacity, or sorry, low flow with our brush. When something is distracting, you can tell right away because of the way that it catches that light. Like if it's a pimple, it'll catch a light and cast a shadow on the opposite side. And that becomes, at least to my eye, it starts to distract me. So, you know, we want to minimize all those distractions. Again, with the clone. Okay. Alright, so this is where we start to get rid of the hairs around here. That's catching. See, that's peach fuzz here. It's catching it. Just get rid of this slightly. Do a very quick job with this. So if you see it, you might not think I was doing anything, but you see how that sort of right there, you see? Alright, so what we want to do is we want to use the clone brush, and let's do a new layer. Clone brush, and start to take, and we'll put that flow up. You'll have some variations in you'll have some variations in the values, the color values here in the background, and that's something that we can go back in and take care of. Fairly easily. And remember, we have that eraser tool. I wouldn't recommend using the eraser tool unless you've really understood the process. Typically, I would just mask it, create a mask, and take out the distractions here, the overlaps that we had. But for the sake of doing this fairly quickly, so let me turn this on and turn that off, right? Okay, now we go to the other side. So the whole idea is, and the reason I'm not just painting over is because there, if you see, I mean, it depends on your screen. I'm not sure if you could see that, but there is a texture quality even to the background, and I'm trying to save that texture quality. I'm trying to save the texture in this image, right? Eventually we will be forced, I guess, to just paint over it with just a regular paintbrush. But for now, let's just preserve what we can. And then we can deal with the gradation process. Now it just looks like she's got hair growing out her neck and back. Oh, look at that. Who noticed that? Let's deal with that.
Returning visitor.
So generally that's an okay job. Let us work on that. Transition right there. Okay, and then I will erase out from our original. Just to preserve the skin. And where is it? Let's get rid of that. Huh. There we go. Okay, so let's save this for now, because we don't want to lose the work that we've done. Let me So right now I am painting in a sort of gradient right there. I'll take it off her skin, off the flowers. So now we are ready for the dodging and burning. Okay, take that off. By the way, if you don't have this panel, I'm not exactly sure what the price is for it, but it's very, very helpful. Instead of continuously repeating the same steps that you would normally do when you're retouching, you know, you can use this panel, and basically it's just a shortcut for actions, right? So I have a bunch of actions in here. I'm going to dodge